Mr H, a farce by Charles Lamb. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org.
Mr H, read by Peter Bishop.
Landlord Pry, read by Martin Geeson.
Nigel Carrington reading the character Belvil.
Melesinda, read by Elizabeth Klett.
First Waiter, read by Ric F.
Second Waiter, read by Phil Chenevert.
Third Waiter, read by Algy Pug.
Fourth Waiter, read by Elizabeth Klett.
Fifth Waiter, read by Marty Chris.
First Gentleman, read by Lars Rolander.
Second Gentleman, read by Max Schörlinge.
First Footman, read by Brian Morgan.
Second Footman, read by Algy Pug. Gentleman, read by Algy Pug.
First Lady, read by Carol Box.
Second Lady, read by Sarah Crampton.
Third Lady, read by Mill Nicholson.
Fourth Lady, read by Melaine.
Fifth Lady, read by Amy Graymore.
Sixth Lady, read by Martin Geeson.
Old Lady, read by Mill Nicholson.
Susan, read by Goldfish.
Maid, read by Beth Thomas.
Narrator, read by Algy Pug. Mr H, a farce by Charles Lamb, as it was performed at Drury Lane Theatre, December 1806. Mr H, thou wert damned. Bright shone the morning on the playbills that announced thy appearance, and the streets were filled with the buzz of persons asking one another if they would go to see Mr H, and answering that they would certainly. But before night the gaiety, not of the author, but of his friends in the town, was eclipsed, for thou wert damned. Hadst thou been anonymous, thou haply mightst have lived, but thou didst come to an untimely end for thy tricks, and for want of a better name to pass them off. Theatrical Examiner. The action of the play takes place in Bath. Prologue, spoken by Mr H.
If we have sinned in paring down a name, all civil well-bred authors do the same. Survey the columns of our daily writers. You'll find that some initials are great fighters. How fierce the shock, how fatal is the jar when Ensign W meets Lieutenant R. With two stout seconds just of their own gizzard, cross Captain X and rough old General Izzard. Letter to letter spreads the dire alarms, till half the alphabet is up in arms. Nor with less lustre have initials shone, to grace the gentler annals of crime con, where the dispensers of the public lash soft penance give a letter and a dash, where vice reduced in size shrinks to a failing, and loses half her grossness by curtailing. Faux pas are told in such a modest way, the affair of Colonel B with Mrs A. You must forgive them, for what is there, say, which such a pliant vow must not grant to such a very pressing consonant? Or who poetic justice dares dispute, when, mildly melting at a lover's suit, the wife's a liquid, her good man a mute? Even in the homelier scenes of honest life, the coarse-spun intercourse of man and wife, initials, I am told, have taken place of dearie, spouse, and that old-fashioned race, and Cabbage, asked by brother Snip to tea, replies, I'll come, but it don't rest with me, I always leave them things to Mrs. C. Oh, should this mincing fashion ever spread from names of living heroes to the dead, how would ambition sigh and hang their head as each loved syllable should melt away, her Alexander turned into great A, a single C her Caesar to express, her Scipio shrunk into a Roman S, and nicked and docked to these new modes of speech, great Hannibal himself a Mr H.
End of Prologue. Act 1. Scene 1. A public room in an inn. Landlord, waiters, gentlemen, etc. Enter Mr H.
Landlord, has the man brought home my boots?
Yes, sir.
You have paid him?
There is the receipt, sir, only not quite filled up. No name, only blank. Blank, doctor, to Ezekiel Spanish for 1 pair of best Hessians. Now, sir, he wishes to know what name he shall put in, who he shall say, Doctor.
Why, Mr H, to be sure.
So I told him, sir, but Ezekiel has some qualms about it. He says he thinks that Mr H only would not stand good in law.
Rot his impertinence. Bid him put in Nebuchadnezzar, and not trouble me with his scruples.
I shall, sir.
Exit. Enter a waiter.
Sir, Squire Level's man is below, with a hare and a brace of pheasants for Mr H.
Give the man 1/2 crown, and bid him return my best respects to his master. Presents, it seems, will find me out, with any name, or no name.
Enter second waiter.
Sir, the man that makes up the directory is at the door.
Give him a shilling. That is what these fellows come for.
He has sent up to know by what name your honour will please to be inserted.
Zounds, fellow, I give him a shilling for leaving out my name, not for putting it in. This is one of the plaguey comforts of going anonymous.
Exit second waiter. Enter third waiter. 2 letters for Mr H. Exit.
From ladies.
Opens them.
This from Melesinda, to remind me of the morning call I promised. The pretty creature positively languishes to be made Mrs H. I believe I must indulge her.
Affectedly.
This from her cousin, to bespeak me to some party, I suppose.
Opening it.
Oh, this evening, tea and cards.
Surveying himself with complacency.
Dear H, thou art certainly a pretty fellow. I wonder what makes thee such a favourite among the ladies. I wish it may not be owing to the concealment of thy unfortunate... Pshaw!
Enter fourth waiter.
Sir, 1 Mr Print again is inquiring for you.
Oh, I remember, the poet. He is publishing by subscription. Give him a guinea and tell him he may put me down.
What name shall I tell him, sir?
Zounds! He is a poet. Let him fancy a name.
Exit fourth waiter. Enter fifth waiter.
Sir, Bartlemy the lame beggar that you sent a private donation to last Monday has by some accident discovered his benefactor, and is at the door waiting to return thanks.
Oh, poor fellow! Who could put it into his head? Now I shall be teased by all his tribe. When once this is known, well, tell him I am glad I could be of any service to him, and send him away.
I would have done so, sir, but the object of his call now, he says, is only to know who he is obliged to.
Why, me?
Yes, sir.
Me! Who else, to be sure?
Yes, sir, but he is anxious to know the name of his benefactor.
Here is a pampered rogue of a beggar, that cannot be obliged to a gentleman in the way of his profession, but he must know the name, birth, parentage, and education of his benefactor. I warrant you, next he will require a certificate of one's good behaviour, and a magistrate's licence in one's pocket, lawfully empowering so-and-so to give an alms. Anything more?
Yes, sir. Here has been Mr. Patriot with the county petition to sign, and Mr. Failtime that owes so much money has sent to remind you of your promise to bail him.
Neither of which I can do while I have no name. Here is more of the plaguey comforts of going anonymous, that one can neither serve one's friend nor one's country. Damn it, a man had better be without a nose than without a name. I will not live long in this mutilated, dismembered state. I will to Melesinda this instant, and try to forget these vexations. Melesinda, there is music in the name, but then, hang it, there is none in mine to answer to it.
Exit. While Mr H has been speaking, 2 gentlemen have been observing him curiously.
Who the devil is this extraordinary personage?
Who? Why, 'tis Mr H.
Has he no more name?
None that has yet transpired. No more. Why, that single letter has been enough to inflame the imaginations of all the ladies in Bath. He has been here but a fortnight, and is already received into all the first families.
Wonderful! Yet nobody knows who he is, or where he comes from.
Oh, he is vastly rich. gives away money as if he had infinity. Dresses well, as you can see, and for a dress, the mothers are all dying for fear the daughters should get him, and for the daughters, he may command them as absolutely as Melesinda, the rich heiress, this thought, will carry him.
And is it possible that a mere anonymous...
Pooh, that is the charm. Who is he? And what is he? What is his name? The man with the great nose on his face never excited more of the gaping passion of wonderment in the dames of Strasbourg than this newcomer with a single letter to his name has lighted up among the wives and maids of Bath. His simply having lodgings here draws more visitors to the house than an election. Come with me to the parade, and I will shew you more of him.
Exeunt. Scene 2. In the street. Mr H walking, Belvil meeting him.
My old Jamaica schoolfellow that I've not seen for so many years? It can be no other than Jack.
Going up to him.
My dear
Stopping his mouth.
Oh, the devil, hush!
Why, sure it is.
It is your old friend Jack, that shall be nameless.
My dear
Stopping him.
Don't name it.
Believe what?
My cursed, unfortunate name. I have reasons to conceal it for a time.
I understand you. Creditors, Jack?
No, I assure you.
Snapped up a ward, peradventure, and the whole chancery at your heels?
I don't use to travel with such cumbersome luggage.
You haven't taken a purse?
To relieve you at once from all disgraceful conjectures, you must know 'tis nothing but the sound of my name.
Ridiculous. Well, 'tis true yours is none of the most romantic, but what can that signify in a man?
You must understand that I am in some credit with the ladies.
With the ladies.
And truly, I think not without some pretensions. My fortune...
Sufficiently splendid, if I may judge from your appearance.
My figure...
Airy, gay, and imposing.
My parts...
Bright.
My conversation...
Equally remote from flippancy and taciturnity.
But then my name... Damn my name!
Childish.
Not so. Oh, Belvil, you are blessed with one which sighing virgins may repeat without a blush, and for it change the paternal. But what virgin of any delicacy, and I require some in a wife, would endure to be called Mrs.
Most absurd. Did not Clementina Falconbridge, the romantic Clementina Falconbridge, fancy Tommy Potts? And Rosabella Sweetlips sacrifice her mellifluous appellative to Jack Deddy? Matilda, her cousin, married a Gubbins, and her sister Amelia a Clutterbuck.
Potts is tolerable. Deddy is sufferable. Gubbins is bearable. And Clutterbuck is endurable. But
Hush, Jack, don't betray yourself. But are you really ashamed of the family name?
Ay, and of my father that begot me, and my father's father, and all their forefathers that have borne it since the conquest.
But how do you know the women are so squeamish?
I have tried them. I tell you there is neither maiden of 16 nor widow of 60 but would turn up their noses at it. I have been refused by 19 virgins, 29 relics, and 2 old maids.
That was hard indeed, Jack.
Parsons have stuck at publishing the banns because they averred it was a heathenish name. Parents have lingered their consent because they suspected it was a fictitious name. And rivals have declined my challenges because they pretended it was an ungentlemanly name.
But what course do you mean to pursue?
To engage the affections of some generous girl who will be content to take me as Mr. H.
Mr. H?
Yes, that is the name I go by here. You know one likes to be as near the truth as possible.
Certainly, but what then? To get her consent you...
To accompany me to the altar without a name. In short, to suspend her curiosity. That is all, till the moment the priest shall pronounce the irrevocable charm, which makes 2 names 1.
And that name. And then she must be pleased, huh, Jack?
Exactly such a girl it has been my fortune to meet with, Harky.
Whispers, musing.
Yet, hang it, 'tis cruel to betray her confidence.
But the family name, Jack?
As you say, the family name must be perpetuated.
Though it be but a homely one.
True, but come, I will show you the house where dwells this credulous melting fair.
My old friend dwindled down to one letter.
Exeunt. Scene 3. An apartment in Melesinda's house. Melesinda sola, as if musing.
H. 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 Sure it must be something precious by its being concealed. It can't be Homer, that is a heathen's name, nor Horatio, that is no surname. What if it be Hamlet, the Lord Hamlet, pretty, and I his poor distracted Ophelia? No, 'tis none of these. 'Tis Harcourt, or Hargrave, or some such sounding name. Or Howard, high-born Howard, that would do. Maybe it is Harley. Methinks my H resembles Harley, the feeling Harley. But I hear him, and from his own lips I will once for ever be resolved.
Enter Mr H.
My dear Melesinda.
My dear H. That is all you give me power to swear allegiance to be enamoured of inarticulate sounds, and call with sighs upon an empty letter. But I will know.
My dear Melesinda, press me no more for the disclosure of that, which in the face of day so soon must be revealed. Call it whim, humour, caprice in me. Suppose I have sworn an oath never, till the ceremony of our marriage is over, to disclose my true name.
Oh, H. 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 I cherish here a fire of restless curiosity which consumes me. 'Tis appetite, passion, call it whim, caprice in me. Suppose I have sworn I must and will know it this very night.
Ungenerous Melesinda! I implore you to give me this one proof of your confidence. The holy vow once passed, your H shall not have a secret to withhold.
My H has overcome. His Melesinda shall pine away and die before she dare express a saucy inclination. But what shall I call you till we are married?
Call me? Call me anything. Call me Love. Love. I love. Love will do very well.
How many syllables is it, love?
How many? That is coming to the question with a vengeance. 1, 2, 3, 4. What does it signify how many syllables?
How many syllables, love?
My Melesinda's mind, I had hoped, was superior to this childish curiosity.
How many letters are there in it?
Exit Mr H, followed by Melesinda repeating the question. Scene 4. A room in the inn. Two waiters disputing.
Sir Harbottle Hammond, you may depend upon it.
Sir Hardy Hardcastle, I tell you.
The Hammonds of Huntingdonshire.
The Hardcastles of Herefordshire.
The Hammonds.
Don't tell me, does not Hardcastle begin with an H?
So does Hammond, for that matter.
Faith, so it does, if you go to spell it. I did not think of that. I begin to be of your opinion. He is certainly a Hammond.
Here comes Susan Chambermaid. Maybe she can tell.
Enter Susan.
Well,
Susan, have you heard anything who the strange gentleman is?
Haven't you heard? It's all come out. Mrs. Getswell, the parson's widow, has been here about it. I overheard her talking in confidence to Mrs. Setter and Mrs. Pointer, and she says they were holding a sort of committee about it.
What?
There can't be a doubt of it, she says, what from his figure and the appearance he cuts and his sumptuous way of living, and above all from the remarkable circumstance that his surname should begin with an H, that he must be...
Well.
Neither more nor less than the Prince.
Prince?
The Prince of Hesse-Cassel in disguise.
Very likely.
Oh, there can't be a doubt on it. Mrs. Getswell says she knows it.
Now, if we could be sure that the Prince of Hesse-what-do-you-call-him was in England on his travels...
Get a newspaper. Look in the newspapers.
Fiddle of the newspapers. Who else can it be?
That is very true.
Gravely. Enter Landlord.
Here, Susan, James, Philip, where are you all? the London coach is come in, and there is Mr Philoside, the fat passenger, has been bawling for somebody to help him off with his boots.
The chambermaid and waiters slip out. Landlord solus.
Oh, the house has turned upside down since the strange gentleman came into it. Nothing but guessing and speculating and guessing. Waiters and chambermaids getting into corners and speculating. Ostlers and stable boys speculating in the yard. Oh, I believe the very horses in the stable are speculating too. For there they stand in a musing posture, nothing for them to eat, and not seeming to care whether they have anything or no. And after all, what does it signify? I hate such curious. Odd so I must take this box up into his bedroom. He charged me to see to it myself. I hate such inquisitive. I wonder what is in it. It feels heavy.
Reads.
Leases, title deeds, wills. Here now a man might satisfy his curiosity at once. Deeds must have names to them, so must leases and wills. But I wouldn't. No, I wouldn't. It is a pretty box, too, prettily dovetailed. I admire the fashion of it much. But I'd cut my fingers off before I'd do such a dirty. What have I to do? Curse the keys, how they rattle in one's pockets. The keys are the halfpence.
Takes out a bunch and plays with them.
I wonder if any of these would fit. One might just try them. But I wouldn't lift up the lid if they did. Oh no, what should I be the richer for knowing?
All this time he tries the keys one by one.
What's his name to me? 1,000 names begin with an H. I hate people that are always prying, poking and prying into things, thrusting their finger into one place. A mighty little hole this, and their keys into another. Oh Lord, little Rusty fits it. But what is that to me? I wouldn't go to... No. But it is odd little Rusty should just happen.
While he is turning up the lid of the box, Mr H enters behind him unperceived.
What are you about, you dog?
Oh Lord, sir, pardon. No thief, as I hope to be saved. Little Pry was always honest.
What else could move you to open that box?
Sir, don't kill me, and I will confess the whole truth. This box happened to be lying... That is, I happened to be carrying this box, and I happened to have my keys out, and so... Little Rusty happened to fit.
So, little Rusty happened to fit, and would not a rope fit that rogue's neck? I see the papers have not been moved. All is safe, but it was as well to frighten him a little.
Aside.
Come, landlord, as I think you honest, and suspect you only intended to gratify a little foolish curiosity.
That was all, sir, upon my veracity.
For this time I will pass it over. Your name is Pry, I think.
Yes, sir, Jeremiah Pry, at your service.
An apt name. You have a prying temper. I mean some little curiosity, a sort of inquisitiveness about you.
Ah, a natural thirst after knowledge, you may call it, sir. When a boy I was never easy, but when I was thrusting up the lids of some of my schoolfellows' boxes, not to steal anything, upon my honour, sir, only to see what was in 'em. To have had pens stuck in my eyes for peeping through keyholes after knowledge. Could never see a cold pie with the legs dangling out at top, but my fingers were for lifting up the crust, just to try if it were pigeon or partridge, for no other reason in the world. Surely, I think my passion for nuts was owing to the pleasure of cracking the shell to get at something concealed, more than to any delight I took in eating the kernel. In short, sir, this appetite has grown with my growth.
You will certainly be hanged some day for peeping into some bureau or other, just to see what is in it.
That is my fear, sir. The thumps and kicks I have had for peering into parcels and turning of letters inside out, just for curiosity. The blankets I have been made to dance in for searching parish registers for old ladies' ages, just for curiosity. Once I was dragged through a horse pond, only for peeping into a closet that had glass doors to it, while my Lady Blue Garters was undressing, just for curiosity.
A very harmless piece of curiosity, truly. And now, Mr. Pry, first have the goodness to leave that box with me, and then do me the favour to carry your curiosity so far as to inquire if my servants are within.
I shall, sir. Here, David, Jonathan, I think I hear them coming. Shall make bold to leave you, sir.
Exit.
Another tolerable specimen of the comforts of going anonymous.
Enter 2 footmen.
You speak first.
No, you had better speak.
You promised to begin.
They have something to say to me. The rascals want their wages raised, I suppose. There is always a favour to be asked when they come smiling. Well, poor rogues, service is but a hard bargain at the best. I think I must not be close with them. Well, David? Well, Jonathan?
We have served your honour faithfully.
Hope your honour won't take offence.
The old story, I suppose. Wages?
That's not it, your honour.
You speak.
But if your honour would just be pleased to...
Only be pleased to...
Be quick with what you have to say, for I'm in haste.
Just to...
Let us know who it is.
Who it is we have the honour to serve.
Why, me. You serve me.
Yes, sir, but we do not know who you are.
Childish curiosity. Do not you serve a rich master, a gay master, an indulgent master?
Ah, sir, the figure you make is to us, your poor servants, the principal mortification.
When we get over a pot at the public house, or in a gentleman's kitchen, or elsewhere, as poor servants must have their pleasures. When the question grows round, who is your master, and who do you serve? And one says, I serve Lord So-and-so, and another, I am Squire Such-a-one's footman.
We have nothing to say for it, but that we serve Mr H.
Or Squire H.
Really, you are a couple of pretty modest, reasonable personages. But I hope you will take it as no offence, gentlemen, if, upon a dispassionate review of all that you have said, I think fit not to tell you any more of my name, that I have chosen for especial purposes to communicate to the rest of the world.
Why then, sir, you may suit yourself.
We tell you plainly, we cannot stay.
We don't choose to serve Mr H.
Nor any Mr. or Squire in the alphabet
that lives in Criss-Cross Row.
Go for a couple of ungrateful, inquisitive, senseless rascals. Go hang, starve, or drown. Rogues, to speak thus irreverently of the alphabet, I shall live to see you glad to serve old Q, to curl the wig of great S, adjust the dot of little I, stand behind the chair of X, Y, Z, wear the livery of etc., and ride behind the sulky of and by itself and...
Exit in a rage. End of Act 1. Act 2 of Mr H, a farce by Charles Lamb. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please contact LibriVox.org. Mr H, a farce by Charles Lamb. Act 2. Scene 1. A handsome apartment, well lighted. Tea, cards, etc. a large party of ladies and gentlemen, among them Melesinda.
I wonder when the charming man will be here.
He is a delightful creature. Such a polish.
Such an air in all that he does or says.
Yet gifted with a strong understanding.
But has your ladyship the remotest idea of what his true name is?
They say his very servants do not know it. His French valet, that has lived with him these 2 years.
There, madam, I must beg leave to set you right. My coachman...
I have it on the very best authority. My footman...
Then, madam, you have set your servants on...
No, madam. I would scorn any such little mean ways of conning at a secret. For my part, I don't think any secret of that consequence.
That's just like me. I make a rule of troubling my head with nobody's business but my own.
But then she takes care to make everybody's business her own, and so to justify herself that way.
Aside.
My dear Melesinda, you look thoughtful.
Nothing.
Give it a name.
Perhaps it is nameless.
As the object, come, never blushed nor deny it, child. Bless me, what great ugly thing is that dangles at your bosom?
This? It is a cross. How do you like it?
A cross? Well, to me it looks for all the world like a great staring H.
Here a general laugh.
Oh.
Malicious creatures. Believe me, it is a cross, and nothing but a cross.
A cross, I believe, you would willingly hang at.
Oh, intolerable spite.
Mr H is announced. Enter Mr H.
Oh, Mr H, we are so glad.
We have been so dull.
So perfectly lifeless. You owe it to us to be more than commonly entertaining.
Ladies, this is so obliging.
Oh, Mr H, those ranunculus you said were dying. Pretty things. They have got up.
I have worked that sprig you commended. I want you to come.
Ladies.
La la la, la la la. I have sent for that piece of music from London.
The Mozart?
Seeing Melesinda.
Melesinda!
Nay, positively, Melesinda. You shan't engross him all to yourself.
While the ladies are pressing about Mr H, the gentlemen show signs of displeasure.
We shan't be able to edge in a word now this coxcomb is come.
Damn him. I will affront him.
Sir, with your leave I have a word to say to one of these ladies.
If we could be heard.
The ladies pay no attention but to Mr H.
You see, gentlemen, how the matter stands? I am not my own master. Positively I exist and breathe, but to be agreeable to these... Did you speak?
And affects absence of mind, puppy.
Who spoke of absence of mind? Did you, madam? How do you do, Lady Warewell? How do? I did not see your ladyship before. What was I about to say? Oh, absence of mind. I am the most unhappy dog in that way. Sometimes spurt out the strangest things, the most malapropos, without meaning to give the least offence. Upon my honour, sheer absence of mind. Things I would have given the world not to have said.
Do you hear the coxcomb?
Great wits, they say.
Your fine geniuses are most given.
Men of bright parts are commonly too vivacious.
But you shall hear. I was to dine the other day at a great nabob's, that must be nameless, who, between ourselves, is strongly suspected of being very rich. That's all. John, my valet, who knows my foible, cautioned me while he was dressing me, as he usually does where he thinks there's a danger of my committing a lapsus, to take care in my conversation how I made any allusion, direct or indirect, to presents. You understand me? I set out double-charged with my fellow's consideration and my own, and, to do myself justice, behaved with tolerable circumspection for the first half-hour or so, till at last a gentleman in company, who was indulging a free vein of raillery at the expense of the ladies, stumbled upon that expression of the poet which calls them fair defects.
It is Pope, I believe, who says it.
No, madam, Milton. Where was I? Oh, fair defects. This gave occasion to a critic in company to deliver his opinion on the phrase. That led to an enumeration of all the various words which might have been used instead of defect, as want, absence, poverty, deficiency, lack. This moment I, who had not been attending to the progress of the argument, as the denouement will show, starting suddenly up out of one of my reveries, by some unfortunate connection of ideas, which the last fatal word had excited, the devil put it into my head to turn round to the nabob, who was sitting next to me, and in a very marked manner, as it seemed to the company, to put the question to him, "Pray, sir, what may be the exact value of a lac of rupees?" You may guess the confusion which followed.
What a distressing circumstance.
To a delicate mind.
How embarrassing.
I declare I quite pity you.
Puppy.
A baronet at the table, seeing my dilemma, jogged my elbow, and a good-natured duchess, who does everything with a grace peculiar to herself, trod on my toes at that instant. This brought me to myself, and covered with blushes and pitied by all the ladies, I withdrew.
How charmingly he tells a story.
But how distressing!
Lord Squander Counsel, who is my particular friend, was pleased to rally me in his inimitable way upon it next day. I shall never forget a sensible thing he said on the occasion. Speaking of absence of mind, my foible, he says, my dear Hogs.
Hogs? What?
What? Huh?
My dear Hogsflesh, my name.
Here a universal scream.
Oh! Oh! Oh, my cursed unfortunate tongue. H, I mean. Where was I?
Filthy. Abominable.
Unutterable.
Hogs? Filth.
Disgusting.
Vile.
Oh, shocking.
Odious.
Hogs. Pop.
A smelling bottle. Look to Miss Melesinda. Poor thing. It is no wonder. You had better keep off from her, Mr. Hogsflesh, and not be pressing about her in her circumstances.
Good time of day to you, Mr. Hogsflesh.
The compliments of the season to you, Mr. Hogsflesh.
This is too much. Flesh and blood cannot endure it.
What flesh? Hog's flesh?
How he sets up his bristles.
Bristles!
He looks as fierce as a hog in armour.
A hog? Madam!
Here he severally accosts the ladies, who by turns repel him.
Extremely obliged to you for your attentions, but don't want a partner.
Greatly flattered by your preference, but believe I shall remain single.
Shall always acknowledge your politeness, but have no thoughts of altering my condition.
Always be happy to respect you as a friend, but you must not look for anything further.
No doubt of your ability to make any woman happy, but have no thoughts of changing my name.
Must tell you, sir, that if by your insinuations you think to prevail with me, you have got the wrong sow by the ear. Does he think any lady would go to pig with him?
Must beg you to be less particular in your addresses to me. Does he take me for a Jew, to long after forbidden meats?
I shall go mad, to be refused by old Mother Damnable. She that's so old nobody knows whether she was ever married or no, but passes for a maid by courtesy, her juvenile exploits being beyond the farthest stretch of tradition. Old Mother Damnable.
Exeunt all, either pitying or seeming to avoid him. Scene 2. The street. Belvil and another gentleman.
Poor Jack! I'm really sorry for him. The account which you give me of his mortifying change of reception at the assembly would be highly diverting if it gave me less pain to hear it. With all his amusing absurdities, and amongst them not the least a predominant desire to be thought well of by the fair sex, he has an abundant share of good nature, and is a man of honour. Notwithstanding all that has happened, Melesinda may do worse than take him yet. But did the women resent it so deeply, as you say?
Oh, intolerably. They fled him as fearfully when 'twas once blown as a man would be avoided who was suddenly discovered to have marks of the plague, and as fast, when before they had been ready to devour the foolishest thing he could say.
So frail is the tenure by which these women's favourites commonly hold their envied preeminence. Well, I must go find him out and comfort him. I suppose I shall find him at the inn.
Either there or at Melesinda's. Adieu. Exeunt. Scene 3. Mr H's apartment. Mr H. Solus.
Was ever anything so mortifying? To be refused by old Mother Damnable, with such parts and address, and the little squeamish devils to dislike me for a name, a sound, oh my cursed name! That it was something I could be revenged on, if it were alive, that I might tread upon it, or crush it, or pummel it, or kick it, or spit it out, for it sticks in my throat and will choke me. My plaguy ancestors, if they had left me but a Van or a Mac or an Irish O, it had been something to qualify it. Mynheer Van Hogsflesh, or Sawney McHogsflesh, or Sir Phelim O'Hogsflesh. But downright blunt. If it had been any other name in the world, I could have borne it. If it had been the name of a beast, as bull, fox, kid, lamb, wolf, lion, or of a bird, as sparrow, hawk, buzzard, daw, finch, nightingale, or of a fish, as sprat, herring, salmon, or the name of a thing as ginger, hay, wood, or of a colour as black, grey, white, green, or of a sound as bray, or the name of a month as March, May, or of a place as Barnet, Baldock, Hitchin, or the name of a coin as farthing, penny, twopenny, or of a profession as butcher, baker, carpenter, piper, fisher, Fletcher, Fowler, Glover, or a Jew's name as Solomon's, Isaac's, Jacob's, or a personal name as foot, leg, Crookshanks, Heavyside, Sidebottom, Longbottom, Ramsbottom, Winterbottom, or a long name as Blunchenhagen, or Blunchenhausen, or a short name as Crib, Crisp, Crips, Tag, Trot, Tub, Phipps, Padge, Paps, or Prig, or Wig, or Pip, or Trip. Trip had been something, but hot.
Walks about in great agitation. Recovering his calmness a little, sits down.
Farewell the most distant thoughts of marriage, the finger-circling ring, the purity-fingering glove, the envy-pining bridesmaids, the wishing parson and the simpering clerk. Farewell the ambitious blush-raising joke, the titter-provoking pun, the morning-stirring drum. No son of mine shall exist to bear my ill-fated name. No nurse come chuckling to tell me it's a boy. No midwife leering at me from under the lids of professional gravity. I dreamed of Caudle.
Sings in a melancholy tone.
Lullaby, lullaby, hush-a-bye, baby, how like its papa it is.
Makes motions as if he was nursing.
And then, when grown up, is this your son, sir? Yes, sir, a poor copy of me, a sad young dog, just what his father was at his age. I have 4 more at home. Oh, oh, oh.
Enter Landlord.
Landlord, I must pack up tonight. You will see all my things got ready.
Hope your honour does not intend to quit the Blue Boar. Sorry anything has happened.
He has heard it all.
Your honour has had some mortification, to be sure, as a man may say. You have brought your pigs to a fine market.
Pigs?
What then? Take old Pry's advice and never mind it. Don't scorch your crackling for him, sir.
Scorch my crackling, a queer phrase. But I suppose he don't mean to affront me.
What is done can't be undone. You can't make a silken purse out of a sow's ear.
As you say, landlord, thinking of a thing does but augment it.
Does but augment it, indeed, sir.
Augment it? Damn it, I said augment it.
Lord, sir, 'tis not everybody has such gift of fine phrases as your honour, that can lard his discourse.
Lard?
Suppose they do smoke you.
Smoke me?
One of my phrases. Never mind my words, sir. My meaning is good. We all mean the same thing, only you express yourself one way and I another, that's all. The meaning's the same. It is all pork.
That's another of your phrases, I presume.
Bell rings and Landlord is called for.
Anon, anon.
Oh, I wish I were anonymous.
Exeunt several ways. Scene 4. Melesinda's apartment. Melesinda and maid.
Lord, madam, before I'd take on as you do about a foolish, what signifies a name? Hogs, what is just as good as any other for what I see.
Ignorant creature, yet she is perhaps blessed in the absence of those ideas, which, while they add a zest to the few pleasures which fall to the lot of superior natures to enjoy, doubly edge the...
Superior natures? A fig. If he's a hog by name, he's not a hog by nature. That don't follow. His name don't make him anything, does it? He don't grunt the more for it, nor squeak, that ever I hear. He likes his victuals out of a plate, as other Christians do. You never see him go to the trough.
Unfeeling wretch! Yet possibly her intentions...
For instance, madam, my name is Finch, Betty Finch. I don't whistle the more for that, nor long after canary seed while I can get good wholesome mutton. No, nor you can't catch me by throwing salt on my tail. If you come to that, hadn't I a young man used to come after me? They say courted me. His name was Lyon, Francis Lyon, a tailor, but though he was fond enough of me for all that, he never offered to eat me.
How fortunate that the discovery has been made before it was too late! Had I listened to his deceits, and, as the perfidious man had almost persuaded me, precipitated myself into an inextricable engagement before...
No great harm if you had. You'd only have bought a pig in a poke, and what then? Oh, here he comes, creeping.
Enter Mr H, abject.
Go to her, Mr. Hogs Bristles, what's your name? Don't be afraid, man, don't give it up. She's not crying, only summit has made her eyes red. She has got a sty in her eye, I believe.
Going.
You are not going, Betty?
Oh, madam, never mind me. I shall be back in the twinkling of a pig's whisker, as they say.
Exit.
Melesinda, you behold before you a wretch who would have betrayed your confidence. But it was love that prompted him, who would have tricked you by an unworthy concealment into a participation of that disgrace which a superficial world has agreed to attach to a name. But with it you would have shared a fortune not contemptible, and a heart. But 'tis over now. That name he is content to bear alone, to go where the persecuted syllables shall be no more heard, or excite no meaning. Some spot where his native tongue has never penetrated, nor any of his countrymen have landed to plant their unfeeling satire, their brutal wit, and national ill-manners, where no Englishman...
Here Melesinda, who has been pouting during this speech, fetches a deep sigh.
Some yet undiscovered Otaheit, where witless, unapprehensive savages shall innocently pronounce the ill-fated sounds, and think them not inharmonious. Who knows but among the female natives might be found...
Sir!
Raising her head.
One who would be more kind than some Oberea, Queen Oberea.
Oh!
Or what if I were to seek for proofs of reciprocal esteem among unprejudiced African maids in Monomotopa?
Enter servant.
Mr Belvil.
Exit. Enter Belvil.
In Monomotopa.
Musing.
Hey, day, Jack, what means this mortified face? Nothing has happened, I hope, between this lady and you. I beg pardon, madam, but understanding my friend was with you, I took the liberty of seeking him here. Some little difference, possibly, which a third person can adjust, not a word. Will you, madam, as this gentleman's friend, suffer me to be the arbitrator? Strange, harkee, Jack. Nothing has come out, has there? You understand me? Oh, I guess how it is. Somebody has got at your secret. You haven't blabbed it yourself, have you? I confide in my heart. Jack, what would you give me if I should relieve you?
No power of man can relieve me. But it must lie at the root, gnawing at the root. Here it will lie.
No power of man. Not a common man, I grant you. For instance, a subject. It's out of the power of any subject.
Gnawing at the root, there it will lie.
Such a thing has been known as a name to be changed, but not by a subject.
Shows a gazette.
Gnawing at the root.
Suddenly snatches the paper out of Belvil's hand.
Ha! Pish! Nonsense! Give it me! What?
Reads.
Promotions! Bankrupts! A great many bankrupts this week. There it will lie.
Lays it down, takes it up again, and reads.
The king has been graciously pleased, gnawing at the root, graciously pleased to grant unto John Hogsflesh, the devil, Hogsflesh Esquire of Stye Hall in the county of Hants, his royal licence and authority Oh Lord, that he and his issue, me and my issue, may take and use the surname and arms of Bacon. Bacon, the surname and arms of Bacon? In pursuance of an injunction contained in the last will and testament of Nicholas Bacon, Esquire, his late uncle, as well as out of grateful respect to his memory. Grateful respect? Poor old soul! Here's more! And that such arms may be first duly exemplified. They shall, I will take care of that, according to the laws of arms, and recorded in the Herald's office.
Come, madam, give me leave to put my own interpretation upon your silence, and to plead for my friend, that now that only obstacle which seemed to stand in your way of your union is removed. You will suffer me to complete the happiness which my news seems to have brought him, by introducing him with a new claim to your favour, by the name of Mr. Bacon.
Takes their hands and joins them, which Melesinda seems to give consent to with a smile.
Generous Melesinda, my dear friend. He and his issue, me and my issue, oh Lord!
I wish you joy, Jack, with all my heart.
Bacon, 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 how odd it sounds. I could never be tired of hearing it. There was Lord Chancellor Bacon. Methinks I have some of the virulent blood in me already. Methinks I could look through nature. There was a Friar Bacon, a conjurer. I feel as if I could conjure too.
Enter a servant.
2 young ladies and an old lady are at the door, inquiring if you see company, madame.
Surname and arms?
Show them up. My dear Mr. Bacon, moderate your joy.
Enter 3 ladies, being part of those who were at the assembly.
My dear Melesinda, how do you do?
How do you do? We have been so concerned for you.
We have been so concerned.
Seeing Mr H.
Mr Hogsflesh.
There's no such person, nor there never was, nor 'tis not fit there should be surname and arms.
It is true what my friend would express. We have been all in a mistake, ladies. Very true. The name of this gentleman was what you call it, but it is so no longer. The succession to the long-contested Bacon estate is at length decided, and with it my friend succeeds to the name of his deceased relative.
His Majesty has been graciously pleased.
I am sure we all join in hearty congratulations.
And wish you joy with all our hearts. Hi-ho!
And hope you will enjoy the name and estate many years.
Ha ha ha! Mortify them a little, Jack.
Hope you intend to stay
with us some time.
In these parts.
Ladies, for your congratulations I thank you. For the favours you have lavished on me, and in particular for this lady's,
turning to the old lady,
good opinion, I rest your debtor. As to any future favours,
accosts them severally in the order in which he was refused by them at the assembly.
Madam, shall always acknowledge your politeness, but at present, you see I am engaged with a partner. Always be happy to respect you as a friend, but you must not look for anything further. Must beg of you to be less particular in your addresses to me. Ladies all, with this piece of advice of Bath and you, your ever grateful servant takes his leave. Lay your plans surer when you plot to grieve. See, while you kindly mean to mortify, another, the wild arrow, do not fly. And gall yourself, for once you've been mistaken. Your shafts have missed their aim. Hogsflesh has saved his bacon.
End of Act 2. End of Mr H, a farce by Charles Lamb.